can Patrick Mahomes do this? Can Patrick Mahomes play at the MVP level without Tyreek Hill?
This definitely is not the culmination of an easy schedule.
Man, the game's about to start. I have no one to bet. I'm going to bet the underdog. I'm getting Patrick Mahomes as the underdog.
How's the Eagles defense going to show up against that Chiefs offense? That's what I'm looking at.
The Eagles were 20-1 after their 4-game win streak to win the Super Bowl. 20-1, some places 18-1.
All right, welcome into a Super Bowl edition of What's the Spread? Miles on Sports here, Mr. Brad Thomas, getting ready for objectively the biggest sporting event of the year in the United States of America. Should be a national holiday on Monday. It's a big one, man. Chiefs and the Eagles. Couldn't have asked for a better matchup, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a long time that we've had two number one seeds square off in the Super Bowl. Last year I think both number one seeds lost. Like, this feels great. And what's more funny and what's more exciting is you hear the stat that neither the Chiefs or the Eagles have trailed at any point in the playoffs so far this season. That's such a compelling stat of how dominant these two teams have been. And it also has great storylines because at the beginning of the season, there were question marks surrounding both teams. With the Chiefs, the question mark was, can Patrick Mahomes do this? Can Patrick Mahomes play at the MVP level without Tyreek Hill? And then for the Eagles, is Jalen Hurts that guy? And both guys squash those questions. Regardless of who wins, it is an absolute winning season for both teams due to the questions that were in front of them to start the season.
Yeah, it's a really good way to put it. And, you could also say that this is a team in the Eagles that have really looked like the most complete team since week one.
Yes.
In the NFL. And then on the other side, you've got the Chiefs who, are the king of the mountain, so to speak. You could really put it that way. And they have been. Now, yes, they're not defending champions. Bengals knocked them off last year. Damn near did it again this year.
Yeah.
But you could really make that argument that's what we're looking at here. And, it's really pick your poison or pick your strength. I know I've gone back and forth, but I'll tell you one thing, the spread has not moved.
Crazy. It's crazy. Well, I was listening to the show and they made a very good point, right? In the Super Bowl, it's always two close teams. You're going to bet the money line for most of the time. Like, there's not that much of a difference if you're betting the Chiefs money line than if you're betting plus 1.5. And you're not going to try to middle either side, like play Eagles money line with Chiefs plus 1.5. That's just not going to happen. And then as we get closer to game time, I think it's going to get closer and closer to the money line where it's going to be plus 100 on both sides, because there's going to be guys like me, I'm going to talk about this during the show, who are going to be like, man, the game's about to start. I have no one to bet. I'm going to bet the underdog. I'm getting Patrick Mahomes as the underdog, and we're going to see it just get closer and closer. But Miles, honestly, like, before we get into our breakdowns, let's just talk about it. I'm going to talk about it from like a casual football fan perspective. Like, if you just are a casual football fan and you look at this game, I feel like you probably could just flip a coin and be satisfied with whichever side you land.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we've got some absolute stars on both sides of the ball.
God.
Both defenses kind of have their question marks, but I would also posit that I was very surprised by the Chiefs defense 2 weeks ago against the Bengals, because I didn't think that they were going to be able to hold up against the Bengals. I really thought Cincy was going to get it done. Whereas, has the Eagles defense been tested in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So, we've seen them have a pretty good season in the regular season, but then they get the bye week, right? They get the number one seed. They get the Giants, who, yes, they were coming off a good wild card performance, but it was a complete flop. And then you had a 49ers disaster where they really weren't even tested or in the NFC Championship game under bizarre circumstances with what happened in that game. So really, it's how's the Eagles defense going to show up against that Chiefs offense? That's what I'm looking at.
Yes, I agree there. I am one to kind of shy away from the remarks of who have they played when we get to this state, this part of the season, the Super Bowl. You are the number one seed, because it's not like teams that have squeaked in. And I hate to use college football as my analogy, but I have to. It's not like they're TCU, where if you look at their post-game win expectancy throughout this entire season, of a lot of those games that TCU won, they were really close. They had negative post-game win expectancy, which means they were more likely to lose than win. The Eagles were winning by margin.
Right.
They're such a talented team where I don't want to discredit them because they're playing Daniel Jones. They're playing Taylor Heineke, who they lost to. Like, I don't want to discredit them for those because the games that they did win, they were impressive. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh man, this team just got so lucky. They had such an easy schedule, didn't have to do anything. They were dominant and they looked scary, and they continue to look scary through the postseason. Honestly, that Giants team dismembered the Vikings. And then it's just funny, and this is not saying this is you, but it's just funny how the media, the guys, the talking heads on the television, they make this whole big deal of them beating the Giants, and then they discredit their win against the Giants in the playoffs, that it was too easy, but they were just hyping up Brian Daboll, calling him an amazing coach for taking care of the Minnesota Vikings. How quickly that sentiment changes when we want to talk about comparing two very top caliber teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that divisional round for them was just absolute pure domination.
Yeah.
Whereas the Niners game was a little bit different, where still you could say that it was very dominant, but the Giants were at full strength.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a testament to the fact that the Eagles are the favorites for a reason here.
Yeah.
And you could also argue that they should be favored by more because of what you said, because of how dominant they've been, because of what that winning margin has looked like. This definitely is not the culmination of an easy schedule. It's just the road that we're on, that they're a dominant team. It's a really good Eagles team. And I'm not going to say this came out of nowhere, but no one had the Eagles in this position before the season started as the dominant. It's a 1.5 point spread, right? But to me, if you're favored in the Super Bowl, it's a big deal.
The Eagles, when to reinforce your point, the Eagles were 20-1 after their 4-game win streak to win the Super Bowl. 20-1, some places 18-1. So you're like spot on with that. Like, no one thought this was going to happen.
Right. And now here we are at the end of the season, and they're favorited over Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Yeah. So do you go with the dominant team, the objectively overall more complete, better team, or do you go with who's been here before? And again, I've been going back and forth. As you said, it's a coin flip. Either side that you want to ride with is going to be a good choice, because I think we're going to have a really close game. But who does it come down for you?
Listen, and I hate saying this, but every part of me is going to be rooting for the Eagles. Like, every single part of me. Okay, this is how big of a deal it is. You guys know how we feel about Jalen Hurts. My parents ordered Jalen Hurts t-shirts. They arrived yesterday, and they were too big, too large to wear out in public. They spent all day today driving from store to store down here in Orlando, Florida, to find Jalen Hurts t-shirts. This is a big deal if Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles the entire time. But from a financial standpoint, I have to put my money on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm a firm believer in that Eagles defense, but there's just so many factors here. We want to talk about the Eagles. They have so many guys who the lights could be very bright. A.J. Brown, first Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, first Super Bowl. Miles Sanders, first Super Bowl. Devonta Smith, first Super Bowl. And that's just on the offensive side. We have CJ on defensive side, first Super Bowl. There's so many guys this first Super Bowl. The lights can be very bright, right? Then you have Jalen Hurts, who's dealing with a little bit of an injury. And that shoulder does scare me. And I'm going to talk about a player prop that it doesn't scare me enough to take me off of it. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, who just doesn't die. It is so hard to kill Patrick Mahomes. And how we talk about the spread being at 1.5, right? I feel like the sports books were kind of afraid. They were afraid to make this 3 or 4 points because they did not want to say, oh man, we're giving bettors an option to get Patrick Mahomes as a 4-point dog in a Super Bowl, a place where he pretty much is there year in and year out. And the primary objective for sports books in this market, break even. They are going to make so much money on these novelty props for guys betting on both the Kelsey brothers to score touchdowns, guys betting on what color Rihanna is going to wear first, for people betting on the Gatorade color. They're going to make so much money. Like, one of my buddies already has 52 bets in, and I think only 3 of them are real bets. The rest are novelty props. And this is no dig on him, because I'm going to do the exact same thing. They just want to make sure it's as fair and as even as possible. And for me, Kansas City, They're starting to get healthy. They get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. They, their wide receivers should be good to go. The only one out is Mika Hardman due to him being on the IR. I have to back Patrick Mahomes here. Am I worried about his ankle? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm terrified about his ankle. But would I rather have a quarterback with a bum ankle over a quarterback with a bum shoulder, especially one who's a running quarterback? I got to go with the ankle because we saw the throws that Patrick Mahomes was making. Now he has 2 weeks to heal. 2 weeks. But, man, if that gets re-aggravated and I see him limping, if at any point I could get a little position on the Eagles, I'll definitely take it.
There's not much to argue about on this one. I will admit that I had the Eagles originally, but when it comes down to kickoff and it's on Sunday, my money is going to be on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And it was only a matter of time before Patrick Mahomes got another ring.
Yeah.
We know that. I talked a couple of weeks ago about the battle between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Well, Mahomes wasn't going to let it happen twice in a row. Yeah. He answered my questions. He answered the doubters. Wow. I mean, Brad, seriously, what a performance from Patrick Mahomes in that game. And I expect nothing less for him to come into this Super Bowl and give me that exact same performance. Now, it's not to say that we're not going to see the Eagles come in and play well, but it is their first Super Bowl, like you said. Yeah. There's a lot of those first Super Bowl jitters. You saw it didn't really matter last year with the Bengals. They should have won the damn game, and they didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So that doesn't come into play big time. But what does come into play is repeated experience. And you got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes sitting here at the end of the year in the Super Bowl. That's who I'm taking. That's who I'm going to put my money on. And I think it's going to be a pretty close competitive game. We got an over-under of 51. I like the over. I think we'll see some points here. Again, you know me. I don't bet overs or unders because it's not fun. So maybe I'm not the best person to listen to. I think 51 is a completely reasonable number for two really good offenses where I think at some point this game will open up a little bit, maybe in the second quarter, early second half. But these offenses are going to be hard to shut down for long periods of time. So it's really going to be about containing. There's superstars all over the field here. So I'll take the over.
Yeah, I am on the over as well. Historically, the under is the play in the Super Bowl. You think about the Super Bowl, two teams that desperately don't want to make mistakes. But this is a little different. We know the Eagles have a dominant defense, right? We know that, but it is not what they hang their hat on. When you think about past Super Bowls, you think about that Rams defense, you think about the Tampa Bay Bucks defense, you think about the Bill Belichick defenses. We don't have those in that Super Bowl. And then we have two offenses that are high octane offenses. Jalen Hurts loves throwing the ball down the field. Patrick Mahomes loves throwing the ball deep. So I think the over is the play here. I couldn't imagine that you'd play an under because this game could have 3 points in the third quarter and still reach 60 points. That's how fast these guys score. But when we talk about a total, I just want to say be on the lookout for this because this happens very frequently. If a team, going from the first period to the second period, if a team is in scoring position, always look for that second period over if it's available. Same thing with the third going into the fourth. But I think that's just a fun look, just to kind of keep yourself on the toes.
What's up next?
Let's go with, did we go over Super Bowl MVP?
Let's go Super Bowl MVP. So the last time I looked at FanDuel, we had plus 130 odds for Jalen and we had plus 130 odds for Mahomes. I'm sure you may have a dark horse. I'm going Mahomes here. If Patrick Mahomes has the performance that he had against the Bengals 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs win the game, and he has a very similar performance, which I think he will, he's getting the trophy. Now, I'm also tempted to go with a Kelsey, who has had some ridiculous performances in the playoffs. I think you get a lot of value from him, but pick the Chiefs, so I'll take a Chiefs player. I'll go Mahomes.
Yeah, I'd probably, this is how I would probably bet this game, right? I haven't decided yet. It just depends how many drinks I have pregame, but from the MVP standpoint, I probably won't actually bet the Super Bowl winner, right? Because you think about the Chiefs being plus 105 on the money line. I'll probably bet the even money on Patrick Mahomes. So I'll take Patrick Mahomes down to even money, which basically means any dollars over what, let's say I put $50, any dollars over the 50. So it's at, I don't know, whatever over the 50, I think it's like $15. I'll put that on Travis Kelce to win MVP. So that way I'm either getting 100 or I'm getting 115, 160, whatever. It's just a more fun way to play it because if they win the Super Bowl, Jerick McKinnon's not getting the MVP. Isaiah Pacheco's not getting the MVP. It's one of those guys, and you're getting better value than if you just take the Chiefs money line straight. Like if you take the Chiefs money line straight, right? And Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP, great. You just won what you would have won if you took this. You would have took that. But let's say you take them straight and Travis Kelce wins MVP, then you're like, wow, I didn't win as much. You actually win more money on Travis Kelce, so you're going to want to be rooting for Travis Kelce throughout the game.
All right, let's go to our anytime touchdown scorer. I'll go ahead and start here. A lot of good options. When push comes to shove, I'm going to be putting a wager down on Travis Kelce, but that will not be my official pick here. I'm going to go to the other side of the ball for a minute with the Eagles. I think Devontae Smith is going to have a big, big game. All right?
Yes.
For a couple of reasons. First of all, I think Devontae Smith has been waiting for an absolute breakout performance, and the Super Bowl is the brightest stage you can get on. You saw him, if you follow college in the national championship game, he had his best game in college against Ohio State in the national championship game of the year. He won the Heisman Trophy. He shows up big time. Jalen Hurts is going to be looking for that safety valve. He's going to be looking for that comfort. That is Devontae Smith. All right. So that is going to be my anytime touchdown scorer. I would even sprinkle a little bit on MVP just in case the Eagles win. I think if the Eagles win, Devontae Smith has a really big game. But I'm really liking Smith here. You'll find me later in the show going back to this for some props. I think my man has a big game, so that's going to be my pick.
Hey, I like that a lot. I'm going to bet it's going to be without question. I'm going to bet Jalen Hurts. I'll probably play Jalen Hurts in I think it was Jalen Hurts in 35 rushing yards. It gets you a little bit closer to plus 115. But I did do a little parlay that I want to give out, right? So anytime touchdown score parlay, 4 legs. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'm picking him to score a touchdown because we know how banged up the receivers are. He's really stepped it up in the absence of when Juju got hurt, when Mecole Hardman got hurt. Dallas Goedert, the Chiefs are just not good at covering the tight end position. Jalen Hurts, we talked about that. And then Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is pretty much automatic. So I feel like I might bet on Travis Kelce by himself just to cover this up. But plus 3,500, going to be a little fun.
All right, let it rip. Let's go ahead into, you got to pick for first touchdown. You know I love my first touchdown score bets, and I'm going to be all over Travis Kelce here for plus 650. He's the favorite for first touchdown, but these favorites have been hitting in the playoffs for me. The big stars are working. So as long, hopefully the Chiefs hit the ball first, but I think if they do and they get down the field, it's going to be Kelce.
Yeah, I'm going to go Travis Kelce, but I'm also going to raise you a Travis Kelce and land on Justin Watson plus 4400, 44 to 1. Wow. It's Andy Reid. You know something special is going to happen the first time they get to the red zone. I think his price is too good. But what's great about Justin Watson, too, is he has a little range. So if anything, a trick play, gadget play, Justin Watson could be the guy who could catch a 50-yard bomb. 44 to 1, it's pretty tasty for me.
All right. Heads or tails? I already know you're going tails.
Tails never fails. I'm flipping it, and I'm gonna call it. I'm probably gonna bet tails. I'm gonna bet the first opening kicks as a touchback because we're in a dome. 2 really strong leg kickers, and then I'll probably bet that the Philadelphia Eagles received the ball.
Okay, we do this every year. You always go tails. I always go heads. Never changes. Don't ever change. All right, let's go ahead with the national anthem. We're sitting at 129 and a half seconds for the national anthem. Is that right? It's in seconds, right?
Yeah, it's seconds.
I just want to make sure that I was reading that correctly. Let me just say this. I bet the over every year, and I get burned every year on the national anthem. I am taking the under. I may even put 100 on the under because I lose this bet every single year. Yeah. Not this year. I'm going under.
Oh, no, Miles. No, you're not. You're not. Listen, this is going to be the year you're like, are you kidding me? Let me tell you this. This is how we dissect this as we cut up our steaks and we eat it. I have gone to every Chris Stapleton concert in Orlando that I can remember. And one thing I remember about Chris Stapleton is when he is telling a story, he takes his time. He builds the drama, and then he lays it out. The national anthem is a story. Chris Stapleton will be telling that story the same way he tells a story about how he misses his lady when he is on the road. I am betting the over. You heard that, the over.
Tugging at the heartstrings here, man, but it's too long. It's too long. I don't know. Maybe you can get me to come back around, but if I lose it again, I am blaming you. Let's just put it out there right now. All right, let's go ahead and get into some player props.
Yes.
All right. I'll go ahead and start with a couple. And really, this was just me. I will just say this was not a lot of research. This was just me going through, and these are the ones I'm going to go with for fun, and just because they're the ones I feel really good about. As I said, coming back to Devontae Smith, I didn't really know which one to go with here. I did not want to go to completions, but I had Devontae Smith in fantasy this year, and there's one thing I know about him is he eclipses 100 yards frequently. 80, 90. He racks them up. I'm going over 64.5 receiving yards for Devontae Smith at -120. Could go receptions here. Could go longest reception here. I like.
I was looking at his longest one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's sitting at about 24, 25, 26, somewhere in there. Wouldn't mind putting a wager on that either, but I'm going with the yards.
I like that a lot. I'm going to go and take one from you here. So you go with Devonta Smith. Let's talk about something that's a little correlated. Jalen Hurts over 31.5 passing attempts. So first I want to say this. When we talk about these props, guys, just bet what you like, honestly, because by the time the Super Bowl comes, probably by the time that you're listening to this podcast, the lines have been smashed, like beat the crap, Just bet what you like. I like Jalen Hurts to throw a lot, and I'll put a little analysis behind it. He's missed this a ton. He only averaged 30.5 passing attempts per game. He didn't hit it in either game, but he's going to play in a close game where his arm services will be needed. They're not going to be able to just run down the throat of the Chiefs, especially with Jones sitting there in the middle. So I expect him to throw the ball a lot. That's Jalen Hurts over 31.5 passing attempts.
Perfect. Well, let me go with my Jalen Hurts one because I was actually looking at his rushing attempts. So I'm liking Jalen Hurts over 10.5 rushing attempts. Last time I saw it, it was at -120. Yeah. I'll take it, man. I mean, I would be comfortable taking his passing and rushing because I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to do a lot in this game. This is his time to shine. I think there's going to be a lot of offensive plays, and I think Hurts is going to put the ball in his hand more times than not. So I'd be comfortable taking both of those.
I like that. Jalen Hurts got that swagger now. I'm going to round it up with another correlated play. A.J. Brown over 72.5 receiving yards. Listen, people are going to say Jalen Hurts' shoulders banged up, but if we watch A.J. Brown, he doesn't have to get these in just big chunk plays. Like they're throwing him these 5 to 8 yard passing routes mixed in with the 30-yard bombs. So it's just a number that I felt comfortable playing. I think he has a good chance to get to 100. The secondary for the Chiefs is not all that great. So it's a number that I liked.
All right, and for me, I'm going to go back to the Chiefs, go with Patrick Mahomes. This number is a little high, but I'm going to go Mahomes over 25.5 completions. I'm picking the Chiefs to win, so that's where my money will be. I got Mahomes MVP. Want to cheer for for them to move the ball down the field. I'll probably take some Kelsey props too. His catches is at 7.5, but he's going to hit it. So if Kelsey is going to already give me 8 or 9, I think he can rack up the rest. So I'll go with Mahomes. Completion.
What were you saying about Travis Kelsey? Over 6.5 receptions. You can play 7.5 for plus money, which is totally cool with me. If there's one weakness of this Eagles defense, it's stopping the tight end position. They go from the number 1 defensive DVOA covering the number 1 wide receiver to the 6th covering the tight end position. It is easily their lowest, their smallest, their weakness. And Travis Kelsey is going to have an absolute berserk game. This was a player prop that I liked probably the most. So either way, these are fun props that we have. Like I'm excited to lock these in.
Yeah, I'll tell you for the Super Bowl and how I look at it is, it's a sad time because it's the end of the football season. But what I always do is I just have fun betting.
Yeah,
like I am just gonna have like your buddy having like 50 bets. I'm not gonna track them. I'm just going to pop, and just make sure it's things that I want to cheer for and just hope I come out of the night even. I mean, that's all I'm ever looking to do here for the Super Bowl. I just want to have a good time.
Yeah, it's what it's going to be about. Before I get into my last point, I want to say, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, because when you ring the bell, it gives you a notification when we have a new episode up. We're going to be covering a ton of stuff during the college football offseason. And those who are listening on podcast form, this is your chance to rate and subscribe. But Miles, I want to tell you about one play that I'm going to have that is going to be so much fun. I'm going to do Jake Elliott over 1.5 made field goals. I think that they're going to be in the red zone a lot of times. It's going to be a back and forth game. They're going to want to get as many points as they can. The line's not out for me to bet it yet, and I probably wouldn't bet it until game time, probably that 3-hour window before game time, so I could see where it settles at.
Bonus prop. I love it. Yeah. You really like those field goal props. You usually hit them, so I'll probably run that with you as well. Good luck, man. I cannot wait to text you during the game.
Yeah, man, we're going to be, listen, we're not going to be watching it together, but we're going to be texting each other throughout. We're going to be drinking some cervezas. We're going to be cashing some bets. And guys, I hope you guys cash your bets. Again, one more time, be sure to download the podcast. Take care. Best of luck, and congratulations, everyone, on a great and successful football season.